So, I'm going to go through my game between Paul McGarry and myself. I'm white, table 5, away to Deriaghy. The game starts off with me then pushing, which I've become quite familiar with this year, e2 to e4. I should say, maybe not familiar is not the best word to use. Black followed up with d5. Now, the computer here, I've just recently worked out how to use mentor lines on Chessmaster's 10th, which is quite good. Now, the computer gives e takes d5, 0.22 of a pawn advantage to white. Now, I didn't play e takes d5 in the game. I play e5, and now the correct move in terms of Chessmaster for black is c5, which again black continued to play c5. Now I play d4 at this point, followed by black playing c takes d4. Now, you could probably play a number of lines here. My computer at the minute is telling me that out of the 5, 6, 7, 8 possible lines that it's choosing, c3, knight f3, queen d4, bishop to b5 check, they are all at this point still losing for white. So I'm really not sure what to do at this point when I was in the game. I didn't really want to bring my queen out too early, and you know, bishop to here, not very strong. Bishop up to here I thought was alright with check. You'll obviously be able to trade either a knight or a bishop, but I thought first, which probably wasn't the best idea because he had doubled pawns, was to play c4, which allows d takes c3 en passant, which allows him to undouble those doubled pawns. But what it does allow me to do in some ways is to open up a center. You see, I've opened up these two files here now, are open from my perspective. So they're really half open files, I suppose, in terms of white. And then you have the in-between move before I take this pawn. I have the in-between move, which is bishop to b5 check, which black can then play knight to c6 to interpose, and again still the move which I played is still giving black a good strong advantage, which is b takes c6 check, followed by b takes c6, which again is the computer's best solution to win. Now there are a number of moves here which at the minute I'm obviously down 2 pawns, you know, so, and the computer's giving a number of moves now which are saying that I could be half a pawn down, such as knight c3. First I recapture the pawn, bishop take, or b takes c3, followed by bishop f5, and then bishop e3, e6, and then knight f3, followed by queen c7. Now at this point it's saying that the castle for black is probably the best move, apart from knight on b to d2 over to here. At this stage I castle, knight e7, and I just pin both the knight, well, in some ways I pin the knight to the bishop, or I hit 2 pieces at once. The knight comes to g6, and I have then take the bishop f8. Now I think my opponent probably should have came back and taken that bishop with the knight, which would have allowed him still to castle, at which point I suppose my move would have been b to d2, and then he can just bring his knight back out again. I bring my knight across to here, and then he castles. Now, I would say that was probably the strongest line for black, and in fact, the computer's telling me here most of the moves that I do at least leave black upon the half up, you know. So, as I'm only a pawn down, everything's looking good for black. But black didn't do that. In fact, he almost gave up. Well, he did. He gave up his right to take the pawn with, or to castle short with rook takes f8, which I thought was weird. I definitely think he should have went back and hit it with the knight, but I think he was trying to build up pressure on this pawn with his queen and his knight, seeing that I only had knight here. But you know, I had two pieces which I could have hit it with. So anyway, so I've got next, then I have to support that, as I've mentioned, which is rook e1, bishop e4, knight on b to d2, then so now then we have the knight takes e5 followed by knight takes e4, knight takes f3, and then queen f3 followed by d takes e4. So at this point, black is actually still up 2 pawns, but I'm just about to capture one of them back with rook takes e4. So, and at that point it gives a 0.05 of a pawn to white, which means I've just regained control of the game. At this point, most probably because the king here is exposed, whereas mine's nice and safe away, and my queens are still on the board. In fact, both queens are still on the board, so there's going to be chances of forks coming to take off his pawns, whereas I won't have such a strong fork. So he offered me a draw, and once again I accepted the draw. So that's my latest draw. I hope you enjoyed that. Please leave a response.